But yeah. So I realized that, like, I was thinking to myself, and I was like, okay, well, what would be your introduction? You know what I mean? Like, and I got ready to talk about, and I was like, oh, and I could feel this feeling in my stomach that was like an old churning that was like tired and kind of weak, and I was like, okay, I don't really want to do that. You know what I mean? And I was like, and it came to me, it was like, but that's not you though. It's not, you're introducing yourself. And it was like that stuff that that you witnessed had nothing at all to do with you. You realize that, you know what I mean? Right. It was like, and I said these things to myself. I said these things to clients. I said these things to people. Period. But it didn't come full circle in the way that it did until that moment, right. Because it was like, yeah, you experienced a lot of things, but none of that stuff had anything to do with you. None of that stuff had anything to do with who you are. Right. It's kind of like when they tell the story of slavery. You know what I mean? And people will get stuck on the narrative that they've given, and they'll think that they'll move as though that's where it began.
But you know what? What's interesting about that is that the reason that they had to insert that slave narrative that we know is not true. Because when you have emotions but you don't have memory, you need to be able to assign those emotions to something. It has to be able to make sense so that it's acceptable. And so you have to insert a narrative to deal with the emotions that are there. And sometimes that narrative that we have is not the truth. Yeah. But we're still responding to whatever that narrative is. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so it's important that we acknowledge those times that come up where we're revisiting something that we thought we knew. Mm-hmm. But we're shown it from maybe a deeper or wider perspective.
Yeah. And I think, like, so literally, like, okay, let's say just in general, like, so we have that space where you're moving, and so slavery is kind of like almost like a starting point in a way. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? And maybe it's because some people feel like they're, in a way, as a people, they're starting over. But then, then at some point, you might get into wondering, okay, well, where did I come from? And that's when people want to go back to Africa and they want to, do that journey, but emotionally, right, when you're attaching yourself to those traumas, right, you kind of do that. So you kind of feel like you want to start from there, right? And then, but you can't. And then you kind of have to learn to do the unpacking and that kind of stuff. And you're curious about what else was there, and so it's kind of like, okay, well, that travel, that journey, or just a curiosity of the people or the study, or just getting into the culture. And then you have another branch where then you kind of start you realize that not only was that not the beginning, but that wasn't even, not that there aren't truths there, but that wasn't even really what it was. It wasn't even yours. What's yours is the fact that you actually came from this land, or you actually, you have basically, you have nothing to do with
whatever trauma
whatever
somebody else
traumas and
was.
stuff someone else was going through. And so you have to get to know who that you is. It's like, oh, well, that's not me, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not where I come from. That's not my truth in actuality.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I do have experiences and this and the third.
Even if I was hurt by someone who was going through this,
Mm-hmm.
it's not
Mm-hmm.
mine to
Yeah.
carry.
Yeah. And the other thing is that, and I think it is a hard truth, but the other thing that I also realize is that even that hurt only goes so far. Because who told you that what you experienced outside of the disappointment, right? But in part, we experience that disappointment through expectation,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so it's not invalidating any feeling, but it is looking at a greater truth. Is that on some level, we've learned to attach hurt or shame or embarrassment or whatever it is to that. So when we talk about like moving through relationships and healing those relationships and we're addressing ourselves, you really are addressing how you are, because you could go through anything and have any experience, and it'll shift exactly how it plays out based on how you move, but it could shift all kinds of things, right, based on how you are in that moment, and you learn to be different in different ways at different times. So again, it's not like it's not like but it is just the truth that is there,
Mm-hmm.
because you are the master of yourself. You are the master of your emotions. You are the master of your reality. And so there's a certain responsibility at the end of the day that you still have to take, even in those moments that hurt.
Mm-hmm.
They hurt. Why?
Mm-hmm.
You're disappointed. Why? You're frustrated. Why?
Because if you're not willing to take responsibility and be accountable for what truly is yours, the shortcomings, because those are the things that we usually don't want to be accountable for. We want to kind of distance our, well,
Mm-hmm.
it's because. So the more that we're willing to allow those things to be, the more empowered we are, the more free we are
Mm-hmm.
to create um, and really experience the things that have been beautiful. And it's interesting because it plays out um, in the spiritual realm,
Mm-hmm.
as blockage,
Mm-hmm.
being unwilling,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um,
It shows up in physical in our health.
Absolutely. That's
Right?
exactly what I was thinking.
Blockages, issues with the blood, issues with the bones and muscles, all these different things. You see it echo, but nobody really understands what it is that they're looking at. And I think that's the problem.
Absolutely.
People could experience a completely different reality if they really understood themselves
Yeah.
and how powerful they really are and what that actually means, because people say that all the time, and on a certain level it's like, all right, yeah, cool,
But
right,
how does it
but what does that
apply
mean?
to the experience? Yeah.
What does it mean to be powerful? How do you actually apply powerful in your everyday life? It's not just being loud and saying whatever you want to say. And I mean, it is that in a certain aspect, but it's so much more than that. That's like a surface level. So nobody on a grand scale, just in general. really deeply understands what that actually means, the responsibility that that actually requires, right? And so many people believe so very deeply in those traumas and in that pain and in that suffering, and people get lost in that, and it becomes hard for them to.
And you know, I agree. I agree. When you say so many people believe in it, um, I understood that on a personal, a deeper personal level. I was talking to, um, I was talking to your sister, and I said that I recognize that because I was in a state of grieving, in a state of pain during particular periods, my perspective had been was altered. It was different. Um, how important it is to recognize that whatever state that we're in truly is so impactful just in how we move. You know, it's not even that it's an intentional, thoughtful, conscious thing. It's so much a part of how we breathe,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um, that we can't just surface talk this. We can't just say, yeah, and I meant, and I said, I forgive, and da 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 da, and do that for 3 weeks and think that it's true, because energy doesn't lie, and it's not gonna be what it ain't.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, I think it makes sense to me. But yeah, and so and like, but I had all of these thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
in this question of, okay, well, if you're introducing yourself, well, who are you? You know what I mean? And and the next thing I went to was, well, I'm a mother of. Like, yeah, that is in a way, but like, who are
Mm-hmm.
you?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, well, me, I'm a really loving and caring person, and um,
All right.
I mean, I feel like I am. If that's what you mean.
But when I say that, I'm saying that's just another role that you play.
Yeah.
A person.
But I mean, when you say that, though, at the same time, I mean, then it kind of comes to a question of, like, we play a lot of roles. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, when I think about any kind of thing, whether it be spiritually, whether it be emotional, whatever it is, the way that we give care, or whatever it is, I mean, it all kind of plays out in a role. You know what I mean? So I guess I'm me. If it was anything unattached to some other role, it would just be me. And I have my own. I'm made up of my own special meaning. If that makes any sense, I guess because of outside of any of those particular things that.
I mean, because and um, this is when I heard you say that. This is the perspective that I was hearing.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about you're not the physical body, you're not
Mm-hmm.
a person, you're not an American, you're not black, you're not a woman. You have these natures about yourself. Some are expressed in particular ways.
Mm-hmm.
But all of these things that we do, so what I got is to step out of all of the forms that we place on ourselves. Because even being a loving person, a good woman, a great all of those things are tied. What is that? What does that mean? Because in actuality, and you know this, um, when I back up out of that, all of that was just roles to interact in this,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
in this physical realm.
So then, does it come into a thing where it's like, okay, well, I am love, right? Versus I am loving, because it's more of an act of being, right?
Mm-hmm.
An act of being would be tied to a role.
Right.
I am love is tied to I am me,
Mm-hmm.
right? I am I.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I am love. I am joy.
Mm-hmm.
I am life. I am death. I am uh, birth. I am growth.
Mm-hmm.
I am transmutation. And
And
so,
but understanding on every level, in every experience, how you express I am joy in the midst of something that may not be what you would consider joyful.
mm-hmm. Yeah. But I think when I think about those things, like for instance, like I could say I am peace, right? And people may attach that to a certain reality, right? But it has nothing to do with that.
Right.
Which goes back to the conversation. If you could be, it's how you are. And how are you in the relationship with peace? Is it conditional?
Right.
Right? And a lot of people are in a lot of conditional relationships, period. Doesn't matter whether it's a person or an event, an experience,
Themselves.
themselves. I will love you if.
Yeah.
I will accept you if.
I will let
Instead
you
of.
have peace if you get that damn white rug to go in that room over there and them green pillows, then I'll give you some peace.
Right. And so people are living on this transactional thing, and people wonder why things fall apart, not just in their relationships, but within themselves. Why their bodies fall apart, why they're, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? I'll get my health together if it becomes more financially uh, acceptable or whatever. I'll spend more time with my children if I can get some time off.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do some more self care. If I can find the time. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And but you have to take a greater responsibility for
the truth.
the real truth. And what is it that how is it that you actually want to be? You actually have to choose to be that regardless to what else is going on.
Because the truth is, in everything that you just named, the only thing that was not of an illusionary nature
Mm-hmm.
is you.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the last thing that was really cared for.
Mm-hmm.
We have all this business out here. We want this. We got to do this because that's what we're supposed to do. We want
Mm-hmm.
our good person sticker or whatever. Um, but we don't want to take care of the one thing that is real in this situation, and that is the fact that we aren't our bodies, but
Mm-hmm.
we are connected and operating within this vessel,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And to not take care of this vessel that allows us to be able to interact in this 3D realm, in
Mm-hmm.
this life, we have to take care of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have to be the priority because this is what connects us to these experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And we got it backwards thinking that we have to take care of the stuff. And the more we take care of the stuff and put ourselves on the back burner, the more, I don't know, noble or righteous we are.
Mm-hmm.
And in actuality, that's that's backwards.
Yeah. 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 I think it's very interesting. You made me think about something that Rod Hayes had said about, people go into life with the wrong perception. They,
Mm.
when he was talking about the bad times, the hard times, the challenging times, right? Those times that really ta require something really, really, really of you, and people not understanding that those times are going to come. You're supposed to have those times. Those times, they're supposed to be there. You know what I mean? And people aren't really taught to navigate what that is and how to navigate that in a way
to
where you.
navigate to navigate suffering. And I still want to find the phrase that he used
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
because I believe that if you were, I did believe, and I think a lot of people believe it, whether you give voice to it or not, that if you were doing what you were supposed to be doing in terms of your work and you were in alignment,
mm-hmm,
that you would not have suffering, long suffering,
mm-hmm,
that was a state of mind that you could, demagnetize yourself from.
mm-hmm,
And there is some suffering that you don't have to experience if you allow yourself to have different perspective.
mm-hmm,
But however you are, wherever you are in your self,
mm-hmm,
there will be suffering on that path.
mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I think the more capacity that you have, the deeper your light, the brighter your light, sometimes the more challenging the work is that you have here. And so that suffering may be different. Sometimes you say you see people who don't, excuse my language, don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And they use people and abuse people, and they do well in the world.
Mm-hmm.
They don't seem to be suffering at all. And you see someone who is, and they don't, maybe they have um, financial wealth, maybe they don't, but they're good people. And they seem to have periods or a period of trial, a period of suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, wow, how can this person, you know, have this as part of their journey when they're good people? And this person seems to just like escape.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But there is gold. There is this. The picture I saw was, like gold dripping.
Mm-hmm.
Just being the magic comes in that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Darius said something. He said it's not the truth. You remember when he said
Mm,
it's not the truth that hurts.
mm-hmm.
It is your alignment with the truth that hurts. And
Mm.
it just goes to speak more to you are in
You,
control.
absolutely.
And you have to take responsibility for that. And when you gain the tools necessary, or the ability to gain those
But right.
tools, yeah. It's on you at this point. Now is your turn to get to know you. And you got a chance to see
And you
who.
don't have a choice.
No, you don't. You don't. But people don't, on a general scale, recognize that they really get a chance to get to know them. They think that means in so many different ways. Your 20s, you finding yourself, you partying. And I mean, that's part of it, but it's so much more
Yeah,
to get. And
absolutely.
it's not just about your 20s. And it doesn't just have to happen in your 20s.
It can't. None of it's true. Because
No.
we're always learning. We're always hopefully having experiences that cause us, and not even experiences. We're experiencing ourselves and our lives every day.
Mm-hmm.
And new things happen, new people that we interact with always causes me to reflect on myself and maybe see something different or from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I put that against, what I got going on, and I'm, you know, um, always seeking to grow
Mm-hmm.
and to be better, truer expression. Um, remembering, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is good.